So I don't know how you are feeling today, but I, Simon Miller the Bald Idiot, thought I would take my positivity pipe and stick it where the sun doesn't shine. Now, that sounds terrible, but this is meant to be a good thing, because there's just so much doom and gloom, especially when you go on that there social media. So why don't we just jump back to some good times? Because that's right, on occasion wrestling is the best thing ever. So here's 11 times where WWE literally just did that. Number 11, the best WrestleMania ever. So there is some recency bias here, and of course we'll wake up tomorrow and feel differently. But if you do go back and watch WrestleMania 39 now and want to walk into my house and say, hello dear Simon, I think that Mania 39 is one of the best WrestleManias to ever go down, I would sit down and have that chat with you, because good grief, it's brilliant. Now it absolutely helps that Cody Rhodes won at WrestleMania 40. We always have to make that caveat, because if he never had finished his story, then yes, you go back to 39 and cry into your cornflakes, because it would have been the stupidest decision of all time. However, he did win, and that Batman game is good because Batman's in it, so everything is fine. It was also really when I think a lot of people went, oh yeah, the two-night WrestleMania can work, and look at some of the things we got on this damn card. I mean, the main event of night one was a tag team match, which was crazy under Vince McMahon-controlled professional wrestling, and it saw Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn finally defeating the Bloodline, because they beat Jay and Jimmy Uso for the WWE Undisputed Super Whooper Tag Team titles. This match is also great, and it ends with you just feeling warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum. And given that the night 2 main event was going to do the opposite, this was actually terrific top-tier booking. Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley is one of the best women's WrestleMania matches ever too, because oh my gosh, they absolutely whoop each other's ass, and even that tag team showcase they did. Nobody thought much of that to begin with, but you sit down and watch it now, my gosh, it's a barrel of laughs. Seth Rollins and Logan Paul also surprises, mostly because Seth Rollins is brilliant, and everything between Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio, they hit a total home run. It was yet another moment where lots of people scratched their heads and realized, oh my gosh, the condom is a brilliant, brilliant star. You also had the triple threat intercontinental title match between Gunther, Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, which got 5 stars in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. It deserves every single one of them. That is a terrific match, and of course also helped continue to restore the importance of that belt. So if you are a brand new fan, you haven't got around to watching this yet, I give you permission. It totally rules. Number 10, the beginning of the end for the Bloodline. So Sami Zayn's first night on screen with Roman Reigns came all the way back in 2022, and if you can believe it, this was meant to be a 1-week thing. I believe Paul Heyman thought it would be funny. Then everybody watched this skit and realized, yep, Sam needs to go into the Bloodline because he just makes their chemistry even better. The big payoff came about a year later at the Royal Rumble 2023 when Roman Reigns and friends had totally destroyed Kevin Owens after their match, when the tribal chief gave Zayn a chair and said, to prove your love to me, you have to destroy your friend. Sami realized he didn't want to do that. He attacked Roman Reigns, and all you need to do is go and listen to the crowd response to this. People lost their minds. It was a genuinely awesome moment. You also get the whole hate to love trajectory with Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, which also added to this because you got the emotion. And do not forget what happened going into the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view that was meant to be a B show. People actually wanted Sami to end Roman Reigns' massive title run because that's how flippin' invested they were. WrestleMania be damned. You also had all those great segments leading up to this with Sami Zayn making the Bloodline break in the ring because he was genuinely funny. So when you do get to the Rumble and Sam decides he can't take any more of this, well, it's exactly the type of thing that WWE especially should always be building to. They're so damn good at sports entertainment nonsense, and they can make you feel something with these moments. You just don't want to overdo them or rely solely on them, but when they get it right, well, there's nothing quite like it. Of course, it's also set up that tag team title night 1 main event for WrestleMania 39, which we've already talked about, and really everything from January 2023 all the way to April, well, it's WWE at its very best, and maybe something they want to look at as some evidence right now. Number 9, the War of the Supergroups. Let's jump forward to the summer of 2023, because once again, WWE was still firing on all cylinders. A lot of fans called it a creative dreamscape. I mean, that's a bit la-di-da, but good for you. This was never more apparent, however, than on October 23 edition of SmackDown, as Roman Reigns had tasked Paul Heyman with gaining back some control from WWE, following the losses of Sami Zayn and Jey Uso. You'll remember this scene. It's when the wise man struck a deal with Rhea Ripley, and all of a sudden the Judgment Day were going to help out the Bloodline. It all went down before a Fastlane show that was co-headlined by Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso working together to dethrone Finn Balor and Damian Priest for the tag team titles. So here, when the baddies looked like they were going to beat up LA Knight and John Cena, all of a sudden the locker room opened, we got recruits, and we got one hell of a brawl. Now, we didn't know that at first because it looked like Heyman and Rhea Ripley had figured this out, because I think it was 5-on-2, but every single time a babyface did run down to help out, well, the pops just got louder and louder, and you could feel the energy in the room. Of course, the singing of Cody's theme when he entered, well, it was quite frankly ridiculous, and the whole thing ended feeling totally white hot. The devil really was in the detail as well, because this had built throughout the entire show, and at the end of it, Paul Heyman also held Solo Sikoa back until he knew the odds were in his favor. He didn't want his brand new toy to be upstaged. That's also when we got the one-on-one confrontation between Cena and Solo as well, so once again, we were building stories for the future. Of course, Cody and Jay then did win those tag team titles, which set the bar even higher, so I'm just gonna say what I said a minute ago. If you've never seen this, go watch it now, and then maybe compare it to WWE at the moment, and you're allowed to scratch your head. Number 8, The Rock bloodies Cody Rhodes in the rain. Now, the best thing about the final boss when he does return to WWE is that he can do whatever the flub he wants. It's why he cut all those Instagram promos, where he also dropped the iconic line, "Off is the direction you can flub." Obviously, he didn't say flub, but I like to see this as a family show. It's only wonderfully to Cody Rhodes being the absolute man in WWE too, so when these two behemoths came together, my gosh, they were allowed to push the envelope more than WWE had done in years. It meant that as we got towards the end of an episode of Raw, we did see Rocky and Cody fighting in the back, when all of a sudden the Great One dragged Cody to the outside when it was raining, and I tell you, my friends, he beat the holy hell out of him and even whipped him with his belt. Cody started to bleed, and nobody ever saw the red stuff in WWE, so if you wanted to start getting a little bit uncomfortable, well, that was the entire point. It was also full-on aura and cinema, in other words, that people like to use in 2025. Of course, this was all building to a WrestleMania match as well, which totally worked. It got you so damn invested, and it really did make The Rock feel like the biggest heel in the business. Like there was a sense in the air that he may kill Cody Rhodes unless somebody was going to step in, and there was also that awesome footage after the fact when The Rock was like, "Do you think I'm going to stop whipping this guy's ass just because Raw is finished? Nope, I'm gonna throw his stupid head into the concrete and the rain's gonna make him wet." It also helped the American Nightmare because he was meant to be the company's top babyface, and how the hell could you feel anything but sympathy for him? He'd essentially just been assaulted by his actual boss. It also allowed him to show more edge going into WrestleMania, not Adam Copeland because he went to AEW, and he needed that too. And do not forget, when we got to that tag team match, The Rock was allowed to walk around saying, excuse me, I make the rules because I am in charge, and all of those seeds came back to this point. I would argue this was the peak of WWE over the last 5 years. It was absolutely bloody, quite literally, brilliant. Number 7, the return of AJ Lee. So we all know how powerful nostalgia is, and it's why WWE likes to bring many an old wrestler back. The problem is you can only do this for so many years, when eventually you look around and go, well, we're out of individuals, we're out of bodies, there's nobody left. It's why we all fantasy booked the return of AJ Lee, but nobody deep down thought it was going to happen, because she had come out time and time again and said, nope, that's not for me, I'm retired, and there's nothing else to prove. But of course, this is sports entertainment. You never say never. And given that CM Punk had returned in WWE, the door was always going to be open. When we got to the summer of 2025, and AJ Lee was back. It all went down in Chicago too, which of course was always going to be a foothold for her. And all you really need to do is go listen to this comeback pop. It's one of the loudest things you're ever going to hear. And Becky Lynch selling it like she was going to be murdered by AJ Lee. Well, if we're talking about the modern times, this is one of the best returns you are likely to see. So many fans came out in droves as well and said how inspirational Lee had been to their childhood, how happy they were that she had returned. And that's what it's all about, my friends. Wrestling is meant to make you feel something. And do not forget as well, in her first promo, she talked about mental health. What a flippin' hero. If nothing else, it was a situation that felt impossible, so the fact we were able to work it out was totally nuts. I really liked this one, and I really liked AJ Lee. Long let it continue. Number 6, Ucey. So we mentioned Sami Zayn breaking the bloodline during many a segment on WWE television, and I would imagine if you were going to ask most fans for them to give you their number 1 of these, they would point to the time that every single member of the group stood on the ring on SmackDown, and Sami Zayn went around and said, you know what, Roman? Don't be too hard on Jey Uso. He hasn't been feeling very Ucey lately. And the reason you should watch this is because poor Jey Uso was not prepared for that, and he has to hold on for dear life. What I mean by that is he's aware he can't laugh, he's not meant to laugh, and yet all he really wants to do is laugh. This also gets Roman as well, who has to build his own chuckle into his speech if he planned to do this, but that is not the case, and poor Jimmy Uso in the background has also broken down. I genuinely think this is one of the best segments you are ever likely to see in the history of wrestling because it's real, and it makes you feel good, and like everything's gonna be alright. It also ties into that Royal Rumble thing we mentioned, because seeing the positive vibes to Sami Zayn made you want them all to be together forever, when you remembered, oh yeah, this head of the table, he's a manipulative asshole, and somebody is eventually going to have to whip his ass, and hopefully it'll be Mr. Zayn. So ultimately, this is just a bunch of wrestlers corpsing in the ring, but because they were all top stars, well, it was like watching movie bloopers but in real time, because of course with pro wrestling you have no safety net. It would also remind you why you fell in love with wrestling to begin with, and really it's an intangible quality you can't even explain. It's just great, man, and I would defy anybody to watch it and not feel the same. It is an all-time hit. Number 5, Raw is 30. A commercial-free first hour kicked off the celebratory 30th anniversary edition of Monday Night Raw, and by 2023 this was all perfectly normal, and actually when you got to these kind of shows, well, they often sucked, kind of came and went, and nothing really landed home. I mean, you can go back to Raw 25 2018, which was absolutely lambasted by the fans, mostly because all of the new young wrestlers had to come out and be insulted by the older generation, who of course weren't going to be on next week's show. It meant when Raw 30 rolled around, people were desperate for something different, and given that Vince McMahon had exited and WWE was on fire, well, they absolutely found their momentum. The real big smash hit was the trial of Sami Zayn, which did fill in this first 60 minutes, and honestly, if you want to see how sports entertainment can be done when you don't have a wrestling match, this is absolutely what you should go to. It also saw psychopath Roman Reigns pinning every single mistake and mishap that had happened on Sami Zayn and telling him to defend himself. Jey Uso also saved Sami from a solo Sokoa spike attack, and all of a sudden that got you going too. How the hell was Jey ever going to stay in the bloodline? He also had evidence of his own though to prove that Sam was a benefit to the stable, and can you believe it, it actually moved Roman, and he started to agree. You also got a brilliant tie-in later because there was going to be a tag team match later in the show, and after Jimmy Uso got hurt, somebody was going to have to step in as the honorary Uce, and of course it was Sami Zayn, and he did the job, once again curried favour with the big bad boss Roman Reigns. So it really was the best of the best booking with the tightest plotting in over 2 decades. And if you want to call this the new peak of the brand new era, you ain't gonna get any argument from me. Number 4, Bad Bunny comes home. So to continue on talking about the brand new WWE and what they were able to accomplish, if you want to focus on a one-night show that somehow ticked every single box even though nobody saw it coming, well, you should probably go to Backlash 2023. It's mostly going to be remembered for an atmosphere so incredible that topping it has become something WWE tries to actively encourage, but really even to this date not necessarily has been able to top. It all came down to the fact that we were in Puerto Rico and Bad Bunny was going to take on Damian Priest, and as it turned out, the Naughty Rabbit was an absolute hero of the country, so when he made his entrance, oh my gosh, these people went absolutely nuts. Even when the camera cuts to Priest, you can see he's trying not to smile as well. He was taking it all in. The two also engaged in a street fight, and this is where Damian has to get all the praise. I'm not saying Bad Bunny didn't put the effort in, because he most definitely did, but this is an absolutely excellent match with somebody who is essentially still a novice. Having 18,000 people just cheering it on makes it even more special, and we essentially test ran the ending to WrestleMania 40 here, because Savio Vega comes out, Carlito's here too, and his nostalgia pop was so big, he got a flipping contract off the back of it. So it really was just a special moment in time, and vitally everybody experiencing it knew, and I actually think even retroactively, you can still get something from Backlash. It's a special pay-per-view, and that's never going to change. Number 3, Damian Priest cashes in. So the WrestleMania 40 opener between Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins was excellent because they are two excellent professional wrestlers. Most people are aware that Drew was going to have to win the championship here because the story dictated it, and when CM Punk took his seat at ringside for commentary, all of a sudden we did raise our eyebrows. What kind of narratives are we about to tell? Well, it turned out some great ones, because after McIntyre had won the belt with the Claymore and started celebrating, he decided he would goad CM Punk, who he was essentially having a feud with. After all, it was the Scottish Warrior who had injured CM Punk at the Royal Rumble, and he wanted to let him know he didn't care. Punk felt the same, however, so tripped McIntyre on Ali in the announce table and beat the crap out of him, and I suppose Damian Priest must have been walking backstage. Somebody gave him the word, his music hit. Philadelphia crowd went totally nuts because they wanted to see a Money in the Bank cash in, and they got it. Now, regardless what you think about Damian Priest now, he totally deserved this moment because he was on fire during this period. But look what else we achieved too. Drew McIntyre, the heel, could now be twice as big of an asshole because he had been screwed, and CM Punk could walk around like he was the cock of the walk because he had finally got one over his enemy, and he wasn't able to wrestle here because he was still recovering from a tricep problem. So the fact that WWE sat down and ensured that 3 people would be able to use something from this, well, once again, that's just good booking. It helped Seth Rollins as well because he would limp into that main event in order to help Cody Rhodes. So I tell you, man, this is great stuff. I apologize for repeating myself, but something that WWE needs to get back to. It's just so flippin' layered. Number 2, the return of CM Punk. So even after CM Punk returned to AEW in 2021, I still don't think people believed he'd ever go back to WWE. There was just too much bad blood there. We all know what happened in All Elite Wrestling that eventually saw Punk shown the door, and then a few weeks later at the Survivor Series in 2023, hell froze over because the Survivor Series in Chicago came to a close, and a very familiar theme song started to play. It of course was CM Punk, and all you really need to do is go and listen to that return pop, because no matter how many comebacks you do watch, you are gonna struggle to find something that compares to this. It's like every single person in that arena had been told you're millionaires now, as long as you scream for around about 10 minutes straight. It's just one of those things in wrestling that you can't actually explain and does something to your brain. And let's not also forget there was a story of Drew McIntyre walking out, there was Seth Rollins losing his mind, so we were also planting seeds for stories going forward. That's what WWE was so good at doing during the latter part of 2023. They thought about literally everything. Of course, there was a bunch of questions as well, especially how was CM Punk going to get on with Triple H? And as of me talking to you right now, the answer was, well, super duper well. It was the aftermath of all this as well, because everybody just wanted to talk about it, and in turn wanted to talk about WWE too. So if you have that kind of power in your hands, and then you do make this big of a splash, well, how can you say it's not brilliant? Even if you're the most ardent CM Punk hater, surely even this must have made you raise an eyebrow. It's truly brilliant, and really is never going to be able to replicate it. You would have to leave wrestling for around about a decade. Number 1, Cody Rhodes finishes the story. Now you can roll your eyes and go, Simon, that is just way too obvious, but that is why it's brilliant. Wrestling is always at its best when it feeds you a simple narrative and tells you that it is going to come good, and at WrestleMania 40, 12 months after he failed in round 1, Cody Rhodes did win the WWE title and brought to an end the 1,316 day of Roman Reigns. I mean, it was absolutely excellent. The match itself too is a barrel of laugh, especially because you get that Avengers finish when The Undertaker, John Cena, The Rock, Solo Sikoa, and everybody else runs down. And even though deep down in your Tootsie Toes you knew Cody was probably going to be victorious here, I still think WWE did a grand job of going, oh, yeah, but don't forget WrestleMania 39, maybe we're going to screw you and do it again. Not even The Rock was able to stop that, which did make Cody feel like a bigger star, and after he'd hit that final crossroads to get the 1, 2, 3, every single babyface under the sun comes out to celebrate with him, and it just makes you feel warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum. I know I've said that twice, but I'm saying it a third time. And do not forget, this is what Cody had wanted ever since he did leave in 2016. So he had just sent a message out to wrestling fans and wrestlers all over the place. If you want to achieve your dreams, well, you've just got to put the work in. I really do think it's one of the best things that WWE has ever done, full stop, because you put the babyface over on the biggest stage, and you could see he was so damn happy about it. He's also now rode that way for about 2 years to become the biggest star in the industry. So just tick that box all round, give it a golden up. This was absolutely fantastic. Know of any other times that WWE was better than literally everything? Well, make sure you get some positivity in those comments below before you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. You can also click the video on the screen to get even more love in your life, or some words to that effect. But otherwise, my friends, I appreciate you, and I will talk to you again very soon.